All right, up here at the top right of Crossfire. Map modeled after Peaks of Baked Dew. That's why I said Shin Crossfire, kind of a joke.
GUMiho.
Shin Peaks of Baked Dew was a popular Brood War map. There he is, spamming all the way into the green. Actually, the colors don't really go as far now that they've changed the APM measuring. Anyway, here's his Zerg opponent. He's one game up in this series. Curious. I like that.
I like that too.
I love the voices this season.
Well, for those of you guys who didn't know this, I just wanted to remind everyone that GuMiho actually was the first random player to play in the GSL.
Oh yeah.
And he's been around a long time. Back in the open seasons, he played random, did not do well, and then switched races a little bit and eventually settled on Terran. Obviously, he's done quite well as Terran, so just wanted to remind everyone of that, in case you guys had forgotten.
Quite well lately. There we go. Curious putting his drone on attack move. A little tip for you guys, by the way, if you come up upon a Terran with your scouting drone, if you just hit attack move nearby, it'll go for the SCV if it's available.
Yes.
Instead of just going for the barracks. It's a lot easier than right-clicking on this pesky little SCV while it's hiding in the middle of the barracks.
It's true, but another tip is if you can right-click on it, if you hold shift and right-click it several times, if the AI of the drone ever bugs out and stops attacking the SCV rather than sitting there, it will begin to attack again.
Oh.
And so no matter what, if you right-click on it several times, you just shift and just spam right-click on it, it will continue to attack.
Excellent.
Just giving you guys the tips.
Good to know.
Both tips quite useful. So if you can click on it, spam shift on it. If you can't click on it, just attack move until you can hit it and then select it later. Works for probes and drones, also for SCVs.
Usually if a drone is building a building, though, you can't attack it for very long.
That's true. I just meant for if you want to attack with your own SCV against another SCV.
Okay. So yes, hatchery first for Curious. GuMiho again trying to put a little bit of pressure on with his first Marines, but he's actually making an add-on there, a reactor on his barracks to switch over to the factory.
Yeah,
so he's not putting much pressure on. Curious isn't even reacting. He's like, you're just faking me out. I'm actually only going to make... actually, he's making a lot of Zerglings. I thought he wasn't reacting with his drones, but he's making 6 Zerglings.
Yeah, 6 instead of 4, just 2 precautionary Zerglings. We are going to see a reactor Hellion expand with GuMiho. Pretty common to see on this map. It's really important to hold the watchtowers here. If you can hold the watchtowers here, you can see all normal attack pathways. To go around the main patterns is actually just so long and difficult.
Oh my gosh, do you see that?
I see that,
That
man.
is a Ghost Academy in production. What?
Well, I've actually seen this build before. Now, what happens is you go for Ghosts, a few Marines, as many Marines as you can produce off of your barracks that you were using before, just it's very few Marines. You go with Ghosts, those few Marines, and Hellions. You use the Ghosts for sniping cores. There's a Cloak Ghost builds as well, but that's very rare and unusual. I don't think that's what we're going to see. But you use Snipe to attack a few extra units, and if your opponent isn't expecting it, if he doesn't know it's coming, and he has very few units, you can actually just destroy him with an attack like this.
And destroy it might, because he's expecting...
Oh, he's actually getting a nuke. I don't know this build.
What?
This is the variation I know, man.
What? What? Oh
now,
my gosh!
On this map,
this actually could work because
if you nuke from the top of that ramp, you can actually hit some of the area near the hatchery.
Yeah.
And of course, there are several different opportunities as well. I don't think you can nuke behind the minerals, but we're gonna find out.
I don't know, but plus the thing is as a Terran, you can kind of sit back and have your Marines and Hellions fan out, and the Zergling sneaks into the main base. Is he gonna see it? Oh, he needs to go up to the top. Is he gonna see it? No, go! No, he sees the Ghost Academy.
But the nuke was done, so he doesn't see any research. He doesn't know what he's dealing with.
Wow, but now he knows the nuke is coming.
The nuke has gone off, and there's actually no reaction from Curious here. He's going to try to target down the Ghost by the looks of things.
Oh my gosh, the nuke is going to land.
And the nuke
doesn't land. The Ghost gets killed.
Canceled. The Ghost dies just barely there.
Whoa.
And now with these Hellions, he's actually still got a pretty decent position. The Spine Crawler, though, does remain. That's one of the biggest challenges. He's got his Zerglings at the top of the ramp here. He's actually trying to force his way up the ramp. It's not a good idea. The Spine doing some extra damage there. Now there is a second Ghost. The second nuke is almost finished as well. He's just going to go for this again.
He's just got a lot of Hellions
Snipes
here.
going off on the Queen.
Trying to get some damage on that Queen. Snipes the Queen out. Nice. Kills off that Queen.
This is more of the type of push I was talking about, of course.
And what he's going to try and do is just hold off the Zerglings from that Ghost with the Hellions.
And those Overlords, I don't think are going to be able to escape.
And he's trying to hug the Ghost with the Hellions, but he lets one get in. And the Queen finishes
the other
off.
side, but the nuke lands, killing several Overlords here.
Killing off the Spine Crawlers as well.
And now the Hellions can go for the drones.
Exactly. So many Zerglings there. Some Banelings are morphing in, though. If he can catch those Hellions and then Baneling them, he can kill them off.
Oh no, the drones are all stacked up. Furious is in trouble here. The Banelings, though, are going to surround them like you were saying.
And he gets, major damage on those Hellions. A few of them are still alive. He traps the other ones with his Zerglings.
These drones are in a line.
But all the Hellions die. They're so low on hit points. This game is actually one of the craziest TVZs I've seen.
Yeah,
this is absolutely insane.
This is insane. Now these Ghost Marines of the Watchtower hold the Watchtower's positions, and Zerglings are going to try to come over here and harass the natural expansion of GuMiho, which has just now been started. Nice micro on these Hellions. The Ghost survives. Not going to want to use that one to nuke, though. It's not going to last very long.
Nope, might be able to get a snipe off or two, though.
He's just now starting another nuke. The nuke build time is 60 seconds. It just takes a little bit longer to make a nuke than it does to make a Ghost. And these Overlords are a little bit ahead of themselves.
Oh no, the Miss rallied.
He's going to try to bait some of the Zerglings in with this as well. Curious is now supply blocked. Nice snipes on the Queen, but the Banelings are going to kill the Ghost. Actually, the Ghost survives just ever so slightly.
That was actually pretty cool. He sniped one of the Banelings as it was coming in, but he didn't micro them, or didn't snipe the other two, so he does lose one of his Ghosts, but
a little bit of
trivia. And another nuke is about to finish as well.
Yeah, a little bit of trivia for you guys. The Ghosts are actually not light units. They're biological and psionic, so Banelings do not do bonus damage to them.
Oh, they seem like they should be light units.
Yeah, it's something it's a common misconception.
I think because they were kind of considered light units, the equivalent of light units in Brood War.
Oh, absolutely.
And the nuke is landing. Are the Zerglings going to finish off the Ghost in time?
They do stop the nuke from landing. And the Hellions as well here are actually getting cornered, but he's just continuing this pressure. Right now, as far as worker count goes, 34 drones, or 34 SCVs to 33 drones.
GuMiho is not doing the best at protecting his Ghosts from Lings and such.
Yeah, he's being a little bit overzealous with those. He's going to catch these Zerglings at the Watchtower. Nice positioning. Beautiful positioning, in fact, behind that Watchtower. And right now, this game is a pretty close game. GuMiho's been able to he's gotten his naturals basically for free. He hasn't even made any bunkers or anything like that. It's completely exposed, but since he's been controlling the middle of the map so well, he actually hasn't had to worry about that. At the same time, he's added more barracks. He's actually stopped Hellion production now. He's making a tech lab with his factory.
Yeah, things have kind of equalized. GuMiho is going to switch over into more bio play. He's got stim upgrading. He's got +1 weapons upgrading. He's not making another nuke this time.
Yeah, he's done with nukes. He's done with Ghosts. He's moved on. And look at this. Zergling gets in again. This is starting to be a little bit embarrassing for GuMiho, having these Zerglings come in and see everything.
Ghost Academy still there. Actually gets an SCV with that Zergling too.
And again, GuMiho is still controlling the map with these Hellions. Curious actually defended that Ghost harassment pretty well. He didn't lose very much. He lost a few Overlords. That was essentially what happened. He had to make a lot of units rather than drones, but at the same time, we're in a pretty even game here.
I'm actually surprised he never got the Blue Flame upgrade.
Well, he only had one factory. He needed the reactor for his Hellions.
That's right. He was producing off the reactor.
But again, look at how many units he's just been able to kill with these Hellions. He's killed so many Zerglings. He's had to make Zerglings because the Hellions have forced that, and he just keeps losing them. So he's been really cost-effective Hellions. Imagine if GuMiho's micro had been just a little bit better in certain situations. He had kept those Hellions alive more often.
And imagine if Curious had 3 roaches.
Yeah. Well, right now, 11 Mutalisks are on the way. 12 Mutalisks.
That'll be a good way of dealing with Hellions as well.
The Hellions are going to be completely shut down by these Mutes. He's also going to be able to control the middle of the map. And the ball will now finally be in Curious's court. getting +1 fire weapons as well right now.
Yeah, he's going to have a really good chunk of mutas, and GuMiho doesn't have a ton of Marines, so it's going to be hard to defend against Mutalisk harassment, and Curious is probably going to be able to buy enough time to get a third up, which he is starting in the bottom right.
Hellions escape from mutas, but the mutas, they're not going to be patient here. They're going to go for an attack. He wants to force a stim, but GuMiho is being extremely patient here. He's going around into the main, doing a little damage to these depots, forcing a stim, killing a few isolated Marines, not losing very many hit points on his mutas, not losing any mutas at all.
Yep, and he's continuing to produce more and more Mutalisks as well, trying to get that flock up as high as possible. So he's doing as much damage as he can while he's harassing.
Right now he's got a total of 14 mutas out. He's making 2 more. Baneling speed is on the way. That third base at the bottom right is almost finished. GuMiho has not yet started a third command center. He does have a second factory though, as well as +1 weapons for his infantry. He's getting +1 armor.
Yeah, starting to get out a decent amount of siege tanks, expecting that transition into Mutaling, Baneling. So he's going to get the siege tanks out to protect against those Masslings and Banelings.
But the Hellions spot the third base.
No drones for them, but means he's going to have to either divert his Mutalisks or more likely just send some Zerglings over to deal with those.
Yeah.
And Curious is he setting up for an attack?
He's getting a lot of Zerglings over the top left. He's attacking over here with his mutas. There's only 1 turret for GuMiho, so he takes that out.
He might use the mutas to draw the Marines into the main and then attack the natural with Zerglings.
Nice positioning on these Hellions. And he's just killing a ton of workers.
And here he goes into the main with the Mutalisks. And there's some Marines there, but he wisely kept some Marines at his natural, so not going to be able to just send the Lings in for the counterattack.
A Raven is being made right now, as well as an armory. And actually loses a muta, flying it into a turret.
He didn't need it. He's got extras.
He's got a few. He's got quite the Mutalisk count at 20, but let's talk about the Marine count. 56 Marines out right now for GuMiho, and he's actually quite down on SCVs, 47 drones and 35 SCVs. He's lost so many to those Mutalisks. Gonna lose some more here.
And you know, this reminds me of the situation in the last game where GuMiho just could not deal with the harassment and said screw it and just attacked with his whole army.
Yeah, he may end up doing that yet again.
Well, the thing is, this time he's actually getting 2 Thors, and so that means he's going to be able to attack and still have those Thors at home to defend against mutas.
The mutas there's so many of them. They have +1. They can do things like that. They can attack supply depots in the face of danger, man. Oh, that Thor did so much damage to that pack of mutas, though.
And is he going to go? Now that he has the Thors out, it looks like he is going to start advancing across the map.
And remember, there's that group of Speedlings we were talking about earlier that can counterattack.
Yeah, not a huge group, but they could probably get some SCVs because, like you said before, there's no bunker or anything.
Yeah, he's been really skipping on defenses this game. Not even making turrets back at home.
And Curious knows this is coming, so back in his main base, he's trying to stall as long as possible with these mutas and these Speedlings. Back in his main, he's making as many Banelings as he can, as many Zerglings as he can, to defend this attack when it finally lands.
He doesn't have any upgrades for his Banelings right now. The Marines are at 1-1. So he's going to need a lot of Banelings, but like you're saying, he's just doing so many counterattacks. He's actually going to counterattack the main here, and the depots are down.
And the SCV is running into the Zerglings, actually. Baneling's going off, but that attack is going to do some major damage. This may turn into a base trade situation.
And very well made. There's not enough.
Oh, Baneling's going in. He's got nowhere to run. He lifts most of his Marines, though.
Oh, man. I was just going to say there's not enough room.
Beautiful play. He had no room to micro back. He got cornered.
Disgusting.
That was the best thing he could have done. Now he's going to be able to drop all those Marines back out. Are going to continue this push.
This is actually not going to work. He just doesn't have enough units. The point defense drone helps out slightly here. GG.
GG. Wow.
That was a terrible place to stim and run up for GuMiho, and Curious is like, was he really going to do that? I guess so.
Wow. He just didn't have anywhere to run to. I think, I actually didn't see, was the ramp actually blocked by his own tanks so he couldn't even run away with his Marines? Or was it just that...
the tanks were blocking the ramp a little bit. There just wasn't enough area, and he had run his Marines so close to the Banelings he just didn't have space to split them. He didn't have enough
Yeah.
time to split them. If you were just running backwards, you would have been hit. So he needed to split immediately, and he didn't have enough space. So GuMiho's got one more chance here. Curious so far has kind of slapped him down. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with Curious's play in both of these games, especially that second one, holding off the Ghost Hellion aggression and
Oh, that was insane.
transitioning quite well, but he lost a lot of Overlords. And even so, he was able to keep his Zerglings always in the best place to cut off reinforcements, catch Hellions. He was always just on top of everything that was going on. He didn't bother trying to take a third base until it was time.
Yeah.
He actually was just so patient about everything. He's like, well, this is a kind of weird build, but I'm just going to be really patient and win.
Pretty
And
much.
that's what he did.
Yeah, and part of it was that he did cancel 2 nukes that were about to land on his expansion. He was able to get in there, kill off the ghosts before the nukes landed, and so that was an effective thing. He, I think part of that was GuMiho. He was like trying to bait the Zerglings in because he's like, okay, if these Zerglings come to attack my ghost, I can actually move my Hellions over and block. But then he didn't in time, and so a couple Zerglings killed off 2 of the ghosts at different times. So that's kind of unfortunate. That was a little bit of a flaw in GuMiho's plan.
He didn't protect his ghosts as well as he could have, for sure.
If a couple more nukes had landed, that might have would have killed more Overlords, might have killed more Queens, might have even gotten the hatchery, actually, because those nukes were all within range of the hatchery.
Yeah, it would have damaged it slowly over time. So it was a really interesting build.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was a cool build, and it almost worked really well, especially because a lot of Zergs, they're really hesitant to get roaches, even if they see Hellions, because they're like, well, if that's just 2 Hellions, I don't want to bother getting a Roach Warren. And so they're like, all right, well, I can just defend with my Spinecrawler, zone with Speedlings, and get Banelings maybe, and I'll be fine. That way I can have the tech I want. But couldn't deal with the Hellions. There were so many of them. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Don't go anywhere. Come back for the conclusion in a couple.